Hi, Leah. How you doing? Excuse me. Um, okay, so this is superior to where what we've seen and where we've been. I think this is a really good idea, and I think it's a great idea to continue this kind of crossbar motif design element into the subpages of the portfolio itself. I think it draws a nice connection between your which is your branding at the particular moment is the typography and this cross or this kind of X. So that's your branding, right? And it's good that you've created that because it's drawing a connection between you, the work, and the page. Okay, so it's assisting the viewer in not only looking at your work, but remembering who did the work. I hope that you can see now. I had really I had really tried to persuade and direct some students into developing these logos. And I know I mentioned this way back at the beginning of the class, and a lot of students did. And it could be as simple as a monogram, or your full name, or Ilya Hamrick Design, or something like that. And I hope you understand, even though you didn't employ this technique, I hope you understand the importance of doing so. And just to review, it's reinforcing that branding just a little bit further. Suppose we had your logo on every page right down here or right over here. So again, you're just getting, the viewer is just getting this reinforcement of your branding, so to speak. And that's really important in portfolio. Okay, so background pages look great. Let's go ahead and go through the work. This piece, I think this piece is fantastic. I really do. I think this piece is so good that I might even consider reducing this size a little bit just so you could get a couple of close-up kind of macro shots, kind of, as it were, like something like, let me see if I can, I'm not going to be able to do this because, okay, but maybe like that, in on the face or in on the goose or the hands or something. You know what I mean? Over here. Just to give it a little variety to the page. Next page. This is what I'm talking about. Exactly. Maybe doing that over here. It's a good technique. It's a good technique. It is. It is. I mean, look what it does for this page. All right, this page, hopefully, you know, the photograph is not good for portfolio because it's got this background. You really need to shoot on a completely white or completely neutral background, light gray or something. At the very least, my suggestion at this point is do not present it with this background, but Photoshop it out of here, put it on a gradient or some kind of a background, and add drop shadows and do what you have to do. Be subtle, but just make it look like it's not shot on somebody's dining room table. Do you know what I'm saying? Good job. Now these, you're showing your die lines and your cut lines, but don't forget, you have to look at your fold lines that would be a red dashed line, not blue. Excuse me. So you would have your bleed lines, your bleed lines, your safe lines, and your cut lines. Bleed line would be the outer line. Your cut line would be the inner line, and then your safe line would be where the type would come to. Just look up production file and you'll see what I mean. But anyways, those should be presented in red. This page looks great, but you know you've broken the grid here for no reason other than to avoid a little collision with your type. That's a real world problem. I don't think the answer is breaking the grid and reducing the size of these. I would maintain that top margin, just reduce the whole thing if you have to, as not to collide with the type. Kind of like what you've done here. Sure. I keep doing that. I keep saying, you should try this. And then I turn the page and you've done it. So I feel kind of dopey. But anyways, it's awesome. You have come so far. It's incredible. Oh, look what I have up. I have this up from last week just so you can see. Look how heavy and blocky this all is. And it's just so forced. And then we come over here and just look at this beautiful. I'm just so proud of what you've done. Just really nice job. So, okay, enough of that. Let's just get back to where we were. Great job. Nice layout on this page. Great layout on this page. Good use of grid. Portfolio reviewers love sketches, so you're chock full of sketches. That's wonderful. This piece, these pieces, I'm going to recommend that you remove that drop shadow completely from both pieces. Drop shadows that rarely work. I mean, a lot of people think they enhance visibility. They don't. They just change the shapes of the letters, as we can clearly see here. And they're a typographer and a printer's and a pre-pressed person's nightmare. So they're just not, it's just overused. Drop shadows on text were kind of really cool in the 90s, but I mean in the early 2000s, but now it's just, I recommend not. Look how much more clean it looks, so much cleaner. This piece here, these pieces here, these web banners, you know, these look good, but I would say, actually, no, I'm going to change my mind here. These are fine. This alternative layout is fine. One thing I do recommend is some consistency in the size of the logo on those particular pieces. This piece is great. Again, we have this confusion here. That's going to come up in an interview, I guarantee it. This might be a page that would be served better without these sidebars because they're just images of flowers. I mean, you know, I mean, no offense, but the thing is that you see one image of a flower or 100, it's kind of like this. Okay, we get the idea. You know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I really don't. I just don't think they're necessary. Again, more flowers, 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 flowers everywhere. So I think there's too much going on here as well. I really do. Okay, and this piece still leaves me puzzled. It's a gorgeous piece, but how does this fit into corporate identity? I just don't know where. It doesn't have the logo or anything. And I mentioned that before, so I'm quite surprised that still is the way it is. Maybe, I don't know. Do you remember me talking about that? Just, I mean, even putting a logo on here somewhere is going to add to the corporate identity that we're looking for. This is a nice piece. Maybe one too many images over here. 5 might be overkill. Kittens with mittens, mittens with kittens, mittens. What's Mittens thinking? Heads are really big. Too big, too large for the, too large in relationship to the type itself. Those are enormous headlines. They're actually working against you because they're kind of slicing up the page, kind of dissecting the page into these forced sections instead of using a nice size relationship that would more enhance the relationship between the type itself and the headline as opposed to creating these really big visual differences. This piece I'm not crazy about. I think you've got too much visual competition. There's so much going on here. This page would certainly be considered something that would be questionable in terms of visual hierarchy. So if you have something to swap in there, I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 horizontal items. 11 if you count the navigation itself, just competing with each other. Then you have the outer image. Then you have the inner image. Okay, then you have your text in a box. So there's just a lot, really quite a bit going on here, as we can see, and that is carried on through. Concentrate on your visual hierarchy there. This piece doesn't work, unfortunately. I don't know what to say. It is part of your duties as a student to get this figured out, how to get that to work. So I mean, it looks intriguing. I love the illustration. I'm dying to see it. Maybe you could send it to me so I can see, just so I can see it. But and then your electives are amazing, just amazing. Okay, so don't just stop on this page. What you want to do is, like, after this page, I would give, after your last page, I would give thank you. Just duplicate this page, take that out right there, and just say thank you on your last page, okay? And then your very last page after that, you want to use a credits page. Okay, so after this, you would have a thank you page. Thank you for viewing my work, or just thank you with that Ilia branding element that you started. And then thank you, and then the next page after that, you would have your credits page. And in your credits page, you need to cite everything, all of these images that you didn't actually stand behind the camera and shoot yourself. All of these images that you didn't shoot yourself need to be individually cited. Let me explain why. Could you batch cite them, IBID, or all images courtesy of Shutterstock or something? Yes, possibly you could, and possibly would alleviate any sort of questionable copyright concerns. However, to a hiring professional, they're not going to want to see that. They're going to want to see that you understand and the importance of, as well as that you know how to cite your sources in proper APA or MLA formatting. Keep that in mind, okay? It's just one of those unwritten communication things that if you go above and beyond what's kind of expected, it looks like you really know what you're doing. So, food for thought. All right, awesome job. So impressed with this. Love it. Just love the work. Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging in there. You never gave up, and that's really, really, really something that's commendable. You guys, all of you guys, this was a great class, and thank you so much, Ilia, for your part and your contribution. I'm here if you need me for anything. Keep my contact info. I've got your work in mind. I don't usually forget work, so if something comes up in a few weeks or a few months, you need questions, give me a holler. Thanks, Ilia.